Hi, my name is Dr. Rob C. Thompson, and today I'm bringing you 5 immortal witches you should probably know. Our terms today are immortal and witches. Immortal means that these female figures, and today we have an all-female cast, are either spirits or goddesses and are not believed to be human. At least they're not believed to be human anymore. Their association with witchcraft is something we're stretching a bit, in that they are either patrons of magical practices and are invoked by occult practitioners, either as a source of power or to ward them off. Isis. In the late 19th century, there was a vogue for Egyptian magical practices and mythology among occult revivalists and theosophists. Helena Blavatsky had initially placed her secret lodge of adepts among the Egyptians before relocating it to Tibet and India. For this reason, Blavatsky titled her first major tome Isis Unveiled, after the iconic Egyptian goddess. According to Egyptian mythology, Isis is descended from the sun god Ra by way of the earth god Geb and Nut, goddess of the sky. She married her brother Osiris, the ruler of Egypt, but Osiris's brother Set murdered and dismembered Osiris in order to usurp his throne. Set carved his brother into 14 parts and scattered them across the globe, but Isis, assisted by her sister Nephthys and the underworld god Anubis, recovered the pieces and reassembled the body. One myth tells that the only part they couldn't recover was Osiris's penis, which Isis fashioned out of wood. Isis's love and grief and magic revived the body. They had sex and produced the falcon-headed god Horus, who would go on to vie with Set for control of Egypt. Isis is regarded as the patron of magic and wisdom. Not only does she use her power to revive her husband and brother, but she also transforms herself into various guises to aid her son in his war with Set. One story tells of how Isis conjured a snake who gave the sun god Ra a venomous bite. Isis offered to cure Ra if he told her his secret name, the key to even greater magical power. The worship of Isis was not limited to Egyptians. A series of mystery rites arose as part of a cult of Isis in the Greco-Roman world, linking her with the Greek goddesses Demeter and Persephone. In the practices of the cult, after Isis appeared to an initiate in a dream or vision, they underwent a period of abstinence and then some ritual purification. The initiate begged forgiveness of the goddess for their sins and made a series of oaths. Underneath the temple, the initiate had a visionary experience and traveled to the underworld and the heavens, where they met the gods. After this, fellow cult members welcomed the initiate into the order and celebrated the initiate with feasting and a fancy cloak. Hecate. Hecate is the ancient Greek goddess of magic, witchcraft, and herbal medicine. She was worshipped as a household god alongside Zeus, Hestia, Hermes, and Apollo. Hecate may have originally been an aspect of Artemis, the virgin goddess of the hunt. The cult of Artemis was very popular among the Greeks, and her worship as the Romanized Diana lasted into the medieval period in the form of folk traditions in some parts of Europe. As the goddess of the moon, Artemis has a powerful dark or night aspect. Much like the Egyptian moon god Thoth, her lunar domain lent itself to a correlation with magic and witchcraft, and also the souls of the dead. When Artemis was admitted into the Olympian pantheon, it's possible that Hecate was split off to embody these darker aspects of Artemis. Although originally represented as a single figure, Hecate developed into a three-form goddess or three-faced goddess. She was a patron of the crossroads, and so she had 3 faces looking in 3 separate directions. She's generally accompanied by a dog, and dogs were often sacrificed in her honor, generally at the crossroads. She's often considered to be a chthonic or underworld goddess who holds the keys to the gates of the dead. Lilith. According to Jewish mythology, Lilith is the first wife of Adam, made from the same clay as he was, as opposed to being made from his rib, the way his second wife, Eve, was. Lilith quarreled with Adam when she insisted on being on top during sex. That's right. But that wasn't the end of Lilith's and Adam's relationship. After the creation of Eve and the events of Genesis, the Kabbalistic Zohar says that Adam left Eve and wandered for 130 years, during which time he begat demons and elementals by Lilith, and also Naamah, daughter of Cain and seducer of angels. Lilith, with her interest in torturing and killing children, is often interpreted as an evolution of the Lamia myth. Lamia was the daughter of Poseidon and a Libyan queen. She is on the long list of physically attractive queens that the god Zeus seduced. News of his affair got around to his wife Hera, and his consort ended up on the wrong end of the goddess. Hera's punishment in this case was incredibly dark and child-related. She cursed Lamia so that all of her children would die. Some ancient storytellers say this was by Lamia's own hand, others that the children died supernaturally. Lamia was tortured by the sight of other women with their children and unable to sleep, a side effect of Hera's curse. She began stealing infants away from their mothers and devouring them in a cave. The horror of this cannibalistic infanticide transformed Lamia into a monster, generally depicted as a kind of mermaid with the tail of a snake instead of that of a fish. Pitying her, Zeus gave her the ability to remove her eyes in the daylight so that she didn't have to witness the sights of mothers and children, which drove her murderous rage, and also so that she could sleep. But the fact that she only came out at night lent greater terror to her legend. In Islamic lore, Lilith is often equated with Qarina, mother of the jinn, or genies. According to this tradition, Lilith partnered with Iblis, the jinn equivalent of Satan. Iblis was a very intelligent jinn who God decided to elevate to the status of angel, but went on to lead the rebellious jinn in a revolt against God. In this version of events, and as with any mythology there are several versions, the jinn were created tens of thousands of years before humans. Qarina also references an individual's demonic spirit double, and causes miscarriages in women, impotence in men, and she stalks and kills children, much like Lamia. Her hatred of children in theory derives from her failure to serve as a mother to humanity by Adam, since she was replaced with Eve. Lilith was also blamed for causing epilepsy in children, but the Kabbalistic Zohar suggests that Lilith had another purpose beyond torturing and killing children. She visited young men in their dreams and caused nocturnal emissions. This marks Lilith as the potential origin for the succubus legend. In his treatise on demonology, King James I linked the sleeping man's wet dream with the succubus's sperm harvesting. Traditionally, Lilith has not been invoked so much as warded off. 17th century Hebrew amulets say that Lilith told the prophet Elijah she would lose her power if someone said her secret names, including Lilith, Abitu, Abitsu, Hakash, Avars, Hikpodu, Ayalu, and Matrota. The word lullaby may be derived from Lilu Abi Abi, a Hebrew incantation meaning Lilith, begone. Oshun. Oshun is a Yoruban deity also worshipped in the Afro-Caribbean religion of Santeria and Brazilian Candomblé. She is a river deity in Africa and patron of water in the Americas. She's associated with femininity, beauty, love, fertility, and divination. According to a Yoruban myth, Oshun was one of the original 17 spirits or orishas sent to earth by the supreme creator god Olodumare with the task of populating the planet. She was the only female of the group, and the males all failed in their task. And so they implored Oshun for help, and she brought forth her sweet waters, which allowed life to grow and thrive. Her life-giving aspect has a darker side because if believers inspire her wrath, she could also send down rains and floods until she is appeased. She is the patron of the Nigerian city of Osogbu, where she is said to have first appeared to humans. An annual tradition brings believers dressed all in white to the banks of the Oshun River, where they leave offerings, and Oshun grants them bounty and abundance. The festival includes singing and dancing, confessions of sins, interpretations of dreams, and bathing in the river, and is an occasion for collective healing. In the home, altars to Oshun are often kept in the bedroom. Kali. Kali is the Hindu goddess of death. Kali is the Dark One. She wears a girdle of human arms and garland of severed heads around her neck. Fangs extend from beneath her red lips, and her forked tongue hangs, eager to taste her enemy's blood. She is thin, sometimes gaunt and naked except for her macabre battle gear. Her hair is disheveled, and when she is pictured with her male counterpart, Shiva, she is almost always on top of him, either in sexual domination or trampling him. She is the subject of a cult of tantric worship, whereby the sadhaka ventures to the crematorium grounds and meditates on her until he assimilates her aspects. The Bhagavad Purana contains a story of the goddess Kali in which a group of thieves had kidnapped a saintly Brahmin and planned to sacrifice him to the goddess in hopes of endowing their leader with the male heir he had hoped to sire. Her fierce ability to bludgeon her enemies with her skull-topped staff and literal thirst for her enemy's blood were central to her legend, and so the thieves believed she would gladly serve as their patron. The Brahmin, whose name was Bharata, was a particularly devoted follower of the great preserver god Vishnu, famous for his many incarnations through which he has rescued humanity from certain doom. The thieves figured such a pure and blameless victim would be exactly the kind of sacrifice the blue-skinned Kali would most enjoy, and so they brought the Brahmin into her shrine and placed him before the idol of the fearsome Bhadra Kali. But their hope turned quickly to shock and disbelief as the pure-hearted Brahmin's saintliness shone like a great heat upon the goddess's statue, and it began to melt. Suddenly, from within the liquefied icon sprung the goddess herself, followed by a host of attendant spirits terrible to behold. But instead of attacking the Brahmin as a sacrifice, Kali turned her scythe and staff against the band of thieves. With her attendants, she slaughtered the whole crew, then erupted into a fit of revelry, dancing and drinking their blood, and playing ball with the thieves' detached heads. The story of Kali and the band of thieves reveals much of the goddess's complexity. She's often misunderstood and misinterpreted, as the thieves demonstrate. They believe that the goddess is responsible for perpetuating the kind of violent death she visited on them, and would favor a band of lawless robbers. But she is a representative of the devas, or gods, the divine power that animates the universe. Her sympathies are with the Brahmin, and she becomes his savior, not his murderer. She visits her wrath and violence on the asuras, or demons, who seek to depose the gods, and in this way she preserves the world as we know it, and advances the cause of universal enlightenment. She is a slayer of demons, but threatens the world she protects by becoming drunk on the blood of her victims, running wild, and dancing the dance of destruction. She is an aspect of the one goddess, Devi. And that is 5 immortal witches you should probably know about. Thanks for watching.